Hey guys, good evening. I wasn't gonna do a video on this, but Majority Report did a really good review on this, and I just thought it was worthy to comment on it. Um, so Andrew Cuomo was the governor. Well, he was the former New York governor. He's got some allegations that he um, inappropriately touched some people. I think women that worked for him. I think it was a New York trooper that was in an elevator and he groped her and all this type of stuff. There is an investigation being carried out by the New York Attorney General, and evidently, there was some. Evidently, his brother Chris was helping him on his CNN show. I don't know how, but it's come out. He got suspended, and I think as of today, he was fired. When they say indefinite suspension, it tells you that whatever's going on is pretty serious. So, um, his firing was effective immediately. It was Saturday. I'm sorry. Today is Sunday. Um, they had a law firm conduct a review. So, I don't watch CNN. I didn't really care about it, but Majority Report showed Fox News was talking about it. Um, Jason Whitlock, I believe he's a football player. He had an interpretation of the suspension. He's a host on The Blaze, and he told Tucker Carlson he's suspended by CNN. He's a heterosexual white man who defended his heterosexual white brother and ran afoul of Me Too feminists, and in my view, the whole alphabet mafia. Okay, let's go into it. They made some great points because he said something DIE, diversity, inclusion, and equity. I'm sorry, diversity, inclusion, and equity. I never heard that term before. Die. He was making the point. Jason Whitlock was that Cuomo was out because he was a heterosexual white male, and basically all this is to take him out, to destroy him, to remove him because of this. And Jason Whitlock's making the point that they're out to get you. You're heterosexual, you're white, you're male. They made a great point. Tucker Carlson was like, you could tell on his face, he was like almost laughing. This wasn't serious. He was like, yo, this is, no. There's other ways to get rid of people. This is not the way to do that. He could come back and sue them. You don't know. Look, it's ridiculous. It's nonsense. And what really touched me, just listening to Jason Whitlock talk, you gotta learn to listen to what people are saying when their mouth ain't moving. And you gotta listen to what they're saying behind things. Everybody by their life, by their way they walk, they talk, they live, they're building a world. Everybody's building a world, for good or for evil. What Jason Whitlock is telling you by saying that, oh, they're against, first said white male, then he took the white part out, which is to say he's honorary white. He thinks he's a part of that little group, which you're not. What he's saying is, in my world, this would be okay. That in my world, what the governor did, grouping people and all that stuff, he just throws some money at him and pay it off. And of course, if a dude done that, his brother is supposed to cover it up by omission or commission. Because I don't mean like physically, like if the police would come in here right now and I say somebody, hey, come over and help me destroy evidence. No, that ain't the only way you can be an accomplice. It can be just, I'm doing crimes and you bring me on your show and I'm like, yo, man, I'm telling falsehoods and you're upholding falsehoods. Being an accomplice ain't just getting your hands dirty. There's all kind of way you can support criminals. And what Mr. Whitlock is saying here is that is, in his idea, nothing wrong with that. Totally just. You know, one thing I've learned with the whole Me Too movement and not just Black Lives, but just all this stuff lately, society is changing for the better. I talked about with the black army lieutenant where the police stopped him and sprayed him. And I told you, and they beat him up and they cuffed him, locked him up, and they let him go, drop the charges. And then they even said on the arrest thing, they felt like we're letting him go because he's army, he's military. So what you're saying is, if I had done that, you wouldn't have let me go. That's corruption. Like that. That's literally, you're literally defining how corrupt you are. Why you shouldn't be a cop. And I talked about how 20, 30 years ago, that lieutenant, he wouldn't have said nothing about this because they would have said, you know what? If you keep talking, this will ruin your career. They're saying, hey, he a good little token. He a good little Negro. He got a little job, but he's an officer up there in the army. He ain't gonna mess that up by talking bad about some cops in a little podunk town in Virginia. He gonna let this be. We put our message across. Don't fuck around down here. That's what they're saying. That's the world that they like. They want to go back to that kind of world of doing things in secret and hurting people, and there being no recompense, there being no judgment, there not being any consequences for wrongdoing. And that these people in authority that take advantage of that authority, let's be clear about it. I'm not knocking people in authority. I'm saying people who abuse that authority, that they can do that and it be like, maybe they did do this. Maybe they did do that. That's really what you see changing is people being held accountable. Elected officials, police officers, and others, not just cops, but people are being held accountable. And that's what this is. What Whitlock is saying is, I represent the establishment. That's really what he's saying. I represent the establishment. I represent this idea that the world should be a certain kind of way and that people should accept wrongdoing. It's amazing. Because I don't like to use tokens. I don't like to use words like coon. I don't like to use that kind of terminology. It's not right. It's not proper. People like him, people like Candace Owens, that's all they are. They're tokens. And there's a reward for being a token. It's sad that anybody can literally sit here and say, by extension, that you're defending someone who abused their authority and made a bad work environment. Because, see, this is my thing. I've always felt, when it comes to the federal government or when it comes to state governments like New York, like California, these are huge powerhouse states, huge industry in New York, they set the tone for the rest of the country, whether it be in workplace relations, whether it be in, labor protections for workers, whether it be, acknowledging climate change, whether it be acknowledging, cost of living, whatever. I always felt like those states lead the way. Not to say they're perfect, not to say they won't make mistakes, but to say that they're going to lead the way for the rest of the country when they say, hey, you know what? I think we want to create a body cam policy somewhere in East Texas. We want to create this policy for our workers. We want to do this. They look to those people. So when those people abuse their authority, it's wrong, but it should be especially pointed out how wrong it is. Because the world we're building, we're setting precedents. You're setting precedents with the world you're creating. And when people abuse their office, they should be especially pointed out. Not just the people that do it, but the ancillary folks, family members and others who protect the wrongdoing. Thanks for listening.